So, if you're toxic, you're going to end up attracting a lot more toxic people into your life, and you're going to end up turning normal people into toxic people. You're going to turn princes into frogs. You're going to turn good men off. They're going to feel like you're not really commitment material or relationship material, or they may just run the other direction. And you're far more likely to suffer throughout your entire life. And so it's very important that you find out whether you're toxic or not. Whether you might be toxic. Not saying you are. All right. So number one is your friends are toxic. So everything around you influences you. So the pictures on your wall, the things that you drive by, the culture you live in, the country you live in, the society you live in, the music you listen to, the things you read, the videos that you watch, everything influences you. And one of the things that influences you more than anything else are the people that you have around you. So if people are around you, you will start picking up their behaviors, right? You'll start picking up their speech patterns. You'll start picking up their thoughts. You'll start doing things that those people do, even if it's just coworkers or friends or family or anything like that. You'll notice that you start picking those things up. And so it's very, very important. It's actually something in psychology that they talk about called mirror neurons. And mirror neurons are just these things in our brain that help us learn, actually. And so if you're watching somebody do something, if you watch somebody ride a bicycle a bunch of times, it'll be easier for you to get on a bicycle and start riding it. And what it also does is it helps us mimic kind of behaviors, right? And so you pick up these different behaviors from different people. And so it's very, very important that you pick your friends wisely. If your friends are toxic, you kick those friends to the curb. Just kick them to the curb and find some better friends. And that includes whether your family's toxic or your boyfriend's toxic or whoever in your life is toxic. You want to get away from toxic people, and so that you can heal yourself and grow and become a better person. So stay away from toxic people. So number 2 is it's always about you and getting your way. And so is it about what you want and only about what you want? And do you throw a fit if you don't get what you want? If you do, you're probably toxic, right? So you're toxic if you never consider anybody else's needs or their desires or their wants or anything like that. If you're doing this, and if you notice, because sometimes usually when you're toxic, you don't know that you're actually toxic, right? You have no idea. That's why you're toxic, because if you knew you're toxic, you wouldn't be toxic, right? And that's how it is for everybody. And so a lot of times people will look at other people and they'll be like, oh, that person's toxic, but they won't realize that they are. And so what you want to do is start creating some awareness around what it is that you're doing. And one of the things that you want to be aware of is, do you make it always about you? And the opposite side isn't good either, where you make it about everybody else and you become a doormat and you let everybody walk all over you. Those are both really bad things to be in. And so if you're doing this, change it up. Change it up. Start taking other people's needs into consideration. Like I said, don't let people walk all over you either, but make sure that you are taking other people's needs into consideration. Make sure that you are getting your needs taken in consideration as well, and that you're both, like, relationships are about two people, right? It's really common, and this is kind of how I grew up, thinking that relationships are like these battles, right? Where you're trying to get your needs met and the other person's trying to get their needs met and you're fighting to get your needs met. That's not relationship. That's pain, right? That is a painful relationship right there. Instead, what you want to do is think about each other and build each other up and help each other out and take care of each other's needs along with your own. And so relationships should be about growth and loving life and enjoying life and fulfillment. Like, great relationships are some of the most amazing things that you can ever have in your life. And so if all of your relationships are pain, then you might want to start thinking about what's going on there. But remember, magic is in the middle. Magic's in the middle. Number three is you rarely or never apologize or admit that you are wrong. So women are never wrong, right? Wrong. Okay, so if your lips are moving or you're doing things in your life, let's just assume that a good percentage of the time you're probably doing things that you're probably saying things that aren't right. You're probably doing things where you might accidentally hurt other people or do stuff like that. One of one of the sayings I used to have a long time ago was that I think I picked it up because I was hanging out with some other friends who actually used to say this, but that I do a lot of things in my life and I'm often wrong, and I really am. Like I am often wrong about what I'm doing, about the things that I'm thinking, about all kinds of stuff, right? And so you don't want to be on either side of this where you're like apologizing all the time and you're, just over apologizing and you're always wrong and all that kind of stuff. But you also don't want to be on the other side where you think that you're always right and everybody else is always wrong and you never apologize and you never admit that you're wrong or do anything like that. Again, the magic is in the middle. And if you never apologize or admit that you're wrong, you should start practicing it. Maybe you can start practicing it in the mirror. Just look in the mirror and be like, maybe I made a mistake one time. Right? Or if you're on the other side where you're apologizing all the time and you always feel like you're wrong, you might want to start just looking in the mirror and start having more confidence in yourself and just start thinking about yourself in a more confident way. Step into an identity of who you might be if you were more confident and more self-assured and more less apologetic, right? Because usually over apologizing is really about just feeling like you're not really worthy, you're not really strong, you're not really confident. Again, the magic is in the middle. So number 4, let's hit number 4 here, which is drama just seems to follow you everywhere, right? Like everybody's dramatic. It seems like everybody's dramatic but you. But the truth is, here's the truth. Here's the reality, the objective reality of things. Pretty much everybody loves drama. Even people who say that they hate it, they're often the people that love it the most. But if bad and wild and crazy drama follows you everywhere, you may just take it on for just a second here and create a little bit of awareness. Maybe you have something to do with it. Maybe you have something to do with it, right? And there's usually 2 parts to every drama. There's your part and there's another person's part. And if it's always their part, you might want to start thinking about maybe it's my part as well. Maybe it's my part. Maybe I have something to do with this. Maybe not. I don't know. But you might want to just try it on. Just try it on. And if there's nothing real there, that's okay, right? But you want to start questioning it, right? Start questioning your own beliefs and what you're doing here and what you think is going on as opposed to what's actually going on. Ask people that would tell you the truth, right? Like not your mom or somebody or your dad or whatever who will just tell you sweet things no matter what you ask. Ask somebody who will tell you the truth and just ask them. If you have a lot of drama in your life, be like, hey, do you think I'm part of the problem here? Do you think I create any of this drama? And if you get some really straightforward, honest people, they'll just straight up tell you. And that can be a really, really powerful thing for this kind of stuff. So if you have this thing where you have a lot of drama, how do you change it? What do you do about it? My suggestion is trying to start appreciating life. Start appreciating the people in your life and your life itself. And when you stop having so many expectations about what should be happening and what people should be doing and all that kind of stuff, and you just kind of break out of that kind of mold, you can enjoy your life a lot more. You can enjoy people a lot more. You can connect with people in a much more effective and powerful way that makes them feel good, makes you feel good, makes everybody feel good. Here's the problem, though, is that drama is very, very addictive. It's really easy to get sucked into it and then stay there because it's like, oh, everything's wrong and this is bad, right? Our whole like world is sucked into drama right now. So create something new. Create something new for yourself. And my suggestion is it's based on gratitude and appreciation, and then spend time in that world. And you'll get sucked into drama sometimes, but at least you can kind of break out of that old thing and say, I prefer spending my time in this, right? And so you want to have a neurological pathway that makes it easier for you to get into appreciation and enjoying and loving your life than into a place of drama. Number five is you are addicted to social media. And I know what you're thinking right now. Who has two thumbs and is addicted to social media? Pretty much everybody in the world right now, right? Unless you live somewhere where there's no computers and stuff. Right. So a lot of people at this point, a huge percentage of the entire population is addicted to social media. And they've actually done a lot of studies on this. And they found that what social media does to your brain isn't good, right? There's a whole bunch of things that it does to you from, swiping and flipping and looking and commenting and getting sucked into it. And none of it's good. None of those things that happen to your brain from doing that are actually good. And so here's the question that you want to ask yourself. Can you pull yourself off of social media for a couple of days? Can you do that? If you can't do that, that is a problem, and you should start working towards that, right? Just try it. Just try not being on social media for a couple of days and see what happens. And if you're just like, oh, right, because I've been there, right? I've been there quite a few times, especially because my business is online. And especially setting things up, I have to be online all the time, and I have to teach other people that are working for me how to do stuff. And so I get sucked into it, and I was doing that launch and stuff. And so, you come out of that, I come out of that, and I'm like, it's really difficult not to get sucked into it. And it's really important not to, and to have some time away from it, because social media isn't reality, and it's really, really bad, and it can really warp your brain in horrible ways. So pull yourself off of social media if you can. And if you need to still hear my stuff because you're like, Matt, but how am I going to listen to your stuff? Listen to my podcast. Get my podcast. It's number 6. We're on number 6. And it's that you talk about people behind their backs. And so this kind of goes along with drama, right? It's really easy to get sucked into this and start talking about people behind their backs and saying negative things about them and all that kind of stuff. And if you have friends, a lot of people in the world in general are constantly talking about people, right? That's what they do, is they talk about other people. And unless you're saying nice things about people, or you're just warning somebody about someone else, like talking about people it's better to avoid conversations like that. It's better to avoid gossiping and just talking about people all the time. And like, let's just be real, right? Like, everybody's a human. We all make mistakes. We all get sucked into things we probably shouldn't. We all do dumb things. We all, all that kind of stuff, right? And so I'm not trying to say that anybody's perfect or there's some kind of perfect thing out there, but what I am trying to say is that it's better to generally not talk about people than it is to spend a lot of time talking about people. And so what do you want to, replace this with? What should you replace this with? Because it's always, whenever you stop doing something, it's always better to replace it with something else. Otherwise, it'll be really easy to get sucked back into it. And so instead of talking about people, what you want to do is talk about ideas, talk about, what you want, talk about what you're creating, what you're doing, what you're building, the things that you love, that kind of stuff, right? What do you like? What do you appreciate? What can you connect with in a better way, right? Build habits of conversation where you're talking about the things that you want in your life more often, how excited you are because you're going to experience that thing one day, and it's so amazing, and you're thinking about these things, or you're talking about ideas or things that you're building or creating or any of that kind of stuff, right? That stuff is beautiful. And sometimes maybe you need to vent about people or things or whatever, right? And that's okay because we're all human and it's no big deal. And you want to spend most of your time talking about what you're creating and what you want in your life if you want to create your life by design, which is my whole thing, right? I love personal development and creating my life. My whole life is created by design. Sometimes for the good, sometimes not. It's number 7. Number 7 is you shut others down or out when their opinion is different from yours. And so this is a very common thing that's going on in the entire world right now. And it's actually really healthy to have people around you who have different points of view and different opinions than yours. It feels good, right? It feels really good when everybody agrees with you. And that's part of the problem, is because it's like, oh, okay, I have these people and they're all like, yeah, what you said is great. Yeah. Right. But when you do that, it's like, and that's good, right? It feels good. You feel good. You're like camaraderie. We're connected. We're all, the same kind of people. That's awesome. You're awesome. I'm awesome. We're all awesome. Right. And that can feel really good, but it creates kind of this weird cultish community and these weird behaviors. And it makes you think that you are right. It makes you think that your point of view is the only point of view to have, and that your way is the only way to be. And that is really unhealthy. If you get triggered by people with different opinions to yours, you may want to start having empathy and compassion for them. So start thinking about what it's like to be them. Start thinking about why they might have those opinions and thoughts. Talk to them about it. Ask them about it. What got you to feel that way? And just keep being curious and keep asking, because most people have a reason, whether it's a good reason or a bad reason. Most people have a reason for the way that they think. And if you look at people's childhoods and where they came from and what's going on with them, you'll find that most people, their reasons are backed by something. They're based on something. And there's a reason. And if you were them, you'd probably think the same way as them. And that is a much better way to look at humans in general, right? Partners, relationships, people, everybody. It's better to look at what's going on with them, because most people, even the other side, usually has a reason. So it's better to understand them than to label and attack and judge and do all that kind of stuff. Those are the 7. I'm going to go back over them here real quick. So the signs that you may be toxic or turning toxic are: 1, your friends are toxic. Number 2 is it's always about you and getting your way. Number 3 is you rarely or never apologize or admit that you're wrong. Number 4 is that drama just seems to follow you everywhere, right? Number 5 is you're addicted to social media. Number 6 is you talk about other people behind their back all the time. Number 7 is you shut others down or out when they have a differing opinion to yours.